Hey guys, how's it going? Eu sou Dave Lee, de Dave Lee's English, e hoje a gente tem algo muito especial. Eu vou fazer uma entrevista com alguém que tem um canal muito grande da English Room, e na verdade ele vai me investir primeiro e depois eu vou fazer uma entrevista com ele. Então, let's go!
Olá pessoal, tudo bem? Prazer, eu sou o Anderson do The English Room Channel e também eu estou migrando agora para ter inglês, então se vocês digitarem qualquer uma das duas coisas vocês vão me achar. E hoje eu vou falar um pouquinho com o Dave, quero entender um pouquinho dessa jornada dele com o aprendizado de um idioma novo, porque ele não é brasileiro e ele aprendeu o português. Então a gente vai entender um pouco como foi essa jornada para que você possa usar as dicas dele em aprender o português no seu aprendizado de inglês. Oi, Dave. Você pode se apresentar para a gente em português?
Sim, eu sou Dave Lee, eu sou um nativo dos Estados Unidos, nasci em Memphis, Tennessee, onde Elvis Presley morava. E meu pai era um empresário e minha mãe era uma professora de inglês.
E como que você aprendeu português?
De necessidade, porque uh, uh, foi assim, eu estudei, eu formei em marketing, business, não teve nada a ver com língua, mas eu ajudei os alunos internacionais a aprender inglês através de conversa e futebol. Eu fiz um time de futebol e convidei ela a jogar conosco, mas além disso, não soube muito sobre línguas, mas em 2004, um amigo meu me disse, Dave, você quer conhecer uma brasileira muito bonita? Eu sei, como? Ele está brincando. Meu amigo, ele é missionário, ou ele era um missionário que morou em Teresina. Ele morava lá e um mês de cada ano ele voltou para os Estados Unidos, para minha cidade. E ele diz, tá bom, você pode, brincando com ele também. Então ele voltou e disse para uma moça chamada Miriam, Miriam, você quer conhecer um americano bonitão? Não sei porque ele mentiu assim, mas ela pensou ele estava brincando, mas ele me mandou um e-mail e isso foi 2004. Então, não teve aplicativos, nem YouTube, nem Skype, nem nada, nem, claro, não teve Zoom, mas então a gente começou a mandar e-mails um para o outro, mas eu não falava português e ela não falava inglês, então o meu amigo traduziu cada e-mail e ele diz, você precisa vir conhecer ela pessoalmente. Então, demorou 6 meses e o único recurso que eu consegui para aprender português foi um dicionário. Então, eu encontrei a maneira pior para aprender uma língua. Eu peguei o dicionário e eu li e tentei aprender as palavras, como pronunciar, nem ouvi nenhum nativo, foi horrível, mas cheguei no Brasil, em Teresina, e a gente foi para fazer trabalho voluntário, e depois de 5 dias, eu pensei, nossa, eu vou voltar para os Estados Unidos logo, se eu não faço algo logo, acabou a chance. Então, eu pensei, vou perguntar para ela, você quer casar? Mas, felizmente, eu encontrei um brasileiro que falava inglês e ela disse, não, você precisa dizer, você quer casar comigo? Então, depois de 5 dias conhecendo ela, eu disse, você quer casar comigo? E ela disse, sim. E eu olhei para o dicionário, sim. Sim, yes. Não, mas foi tipo assim, então, voltei para os Estados Unidos para trabalhar, mas 3 meses depois voltei e nós casamos. E eu tive que voltar de novo para trabalhar, mas demorou 4 meses por causa de burocracia para vista, passaporte e várias outras coisas. E ela finalmente chegou nos Estados Unidos. E tem mais para a história, mas não sei se você tem um comentário.
Eu tenho vários. Primeiro, eu fiquei impressionado. Você conseguiu chavecá-la para casar com você em 5 dias sem falar português? Qual que é o segredo?
Nossa, milagres, graças a Deus. E também era uma amiga nossa chamada Cindy, e ela traduziu um pouco durante esses 5 dias, mas, claro, não quis pedir casamento pelo tradutor, então, ou um intérprete, então eu, pelo menos, ganhei esse conhecimento, como perguntar, fazer essa pergunta.
Muito legal, muito legal. Eu achei essa história muito romântica. E aí, depois que vocês casaram, você veio para o Brasil ou ela foi para os Estados Unidos?
Sim, ela foi para os Estados Unidos, mas ela estudou inglês nas, como se chama, escola particular, mas não ajudou, não adianta nada isso. Ela chegou, como ela estava começando do zero, e todo mundo teve seus conselhos, como ela deve estudar inglês. Então, tem um amigo de Alemanha, ela diz, só deixa ela, ela diz, just let her watch a lot of television, that's how I learned English. Apenas deixa ela assistir muita televisão, foi assim que eu aprendi inglês. Então, primeiro dia eu fiz isso, muitas horas ela estava assistindo televisão, eu estava trabalhando na minha loja, minha empresa. Voltei e ela só teve uma pergunta. O que quer dizer? Shut up. Eu disse, não sei se gosto dessa dica, mas teve outras pessoas dizendo, ela precisa fazer isso. Ela fez Rosetta Stone, que ajudou, mas ela achou um pouco chato, um pouco lento. Mas uma amiga minha disse, deixa ela vir estudar com meus alunos. Eu disse, Dal, você é uma professora de crianças, né, de primeira série, porque ela deve estudar com vocês? Ela disse, porque na primeira série a gente estuda cada som de inglês. E tem 44 sons e muitos deles não existem em outras línguas. Eu disse, tá bom. Então, ela foi lá e aprendeu muito. Isso ajudou muito. Então, a gente também lê a Bíblia, eu em inglês e ela em português. Depois, quando o nível de inglês dela cresceu, aumentou, a gente trocou. E isso foi bom, porque, mas como você disse em outros vídeos, não existe tradução, então não é palavra por palavra, então precisa pensar. Mas eventualmente ela disse, nossa, eu quero falar com pessoas, mesmo assim eu atrapalho tudo. E acho que isso foi a chave. Ela começou falando com meus funcionários, com os clientes, com pessoas da igreja, e ela errou muito. Ela até hoje ela comete erros. Eu cometo muitos erros em português. Então ela conseguiu um nível bem alto. Ela começou a trabalhar na minha empresa. Depois ela foi uma professora de criancinhas. Depois disso, ela até abriu um boutique que foi um sucesso esmagador. E depois, nosso filho nasceu. E quando meu pai morreu alguns anos atrás. Eu disse para ela, você quer voltar para o Brasil, ficar com sua família, sua família? E ela disse, sim, vamos para Piauí. Eu disse, não, Piauí é quente demais. Vamos para Brasília, você tem família lá também. Então, a gente mudou para Águas Claras, Distrito Federal, e eu abri David's English, e, claro, a pandemia fechou tudo, então a gente resolveu morar em Piauí agora, porque eu estou dando aulas online.
E aí você achou quente demais? Tá sofrendo?
É muito quente aqui, estou me acostumando.
E para você chegar a esse nível de português que você tá hoje, o que que você fez?
Sim, na verdade, eu devo ser um nível mais alto do que eu estou agora, porque em 2004 eu comecei a estudar português mais, mas quando minha esposa aprendeu inglês, ela quase parou de falar português comigo. Então, ao invés de ter 15 anos de experiência, eu tenho um ano de experiência 15 vezes. Então, a dica que eu quero dar para pessoas é continuar avançando. Aprende um pouquinho cada dia. Aprenda um pouco e rever muito. Eu não fiz isso e, por isso, meu nível de português é mais baixo do que deve estar.
Entendi, entendi. Bom, eu gostei bastante das coisas que eu ouvi, achei essa história muito interessante, principalmente a parte de conseguir conquistar alguém sem nem falar o idioma, é algo surpreendente. Eu acho que a gente superestima o poder das palavras, então a gente acha que as palavras representam muito mais do que elas de fato representam, né? Quando na verdade tem muito na entonação, tem muito na nossa forma de colocar as coisas, e não é o que a gente fala, mas sim como a gente fala, que muitas vezes transmite a mensagem e a gente fica se
Uhum.
apegando, né? Do tipo, nossa, eu preciso saber cada pedacinho dessa palavra para poder me comunicar. Então, acho que essa é a grande mensagem aí que você passa pra gente, que realmente não precisa ter um inglês perfeito para que eu possa me comunicar e para que eu possa estabelecer relações com as pessoas, né? Parabéns, David. Parabéns.
Obrigado, é exatamente isso. E também, eu sou quase novo em YouTube, mas a primeira coisa que eu fiz em YouTube é um curso gratuito chamado Pronúncia Plus, para quem quer entender e falar inglês mais certo. Não é concorrência com outros cursos, é para complementar e suplementar outros cursos, porque muitos cursos inglês é um assunto muito grande, então isso é um pedaço que talvez você não tenha ainda. E se não tem esse curso gratuito. Eu estou uh, uh, montando um curso que não é gratuito, mas tem esse gratuito também.
Legal, muito bom. E agora vem a parte que a gente fala um pouco de inglês, né? Então,
Yes.
pessoal que tem medo de inglês, não entre em pânico, vai ter legenda aqui embaixo para que vocês possam acompanhar a entrevista. E vamos lá então.
Okay. So tell me about yourself. First of all, where were you born? And
All right, I was born and raised in Campos do Jordão. It's a countryside city in the countryside of São Paulo. It's
Mhm.
actually in the mountains, so it's a very cold city. Um, Especially during the winter, we can reach -4, -6. It's pretty cold.
Wow. See, that's very rare in Brazil. People in the
Yeah,
United States would not believe that.
that's why it's a touristic place. Everybody goes there just to see the cold weather, and the architecture is pretty different as well. So it's a worth visiting place.
Oh, wow. And how did you get involved with studying and teaching English?
Wow, it's a long story. I'll try to make it short. I always loved English. I always liked it. It was always associated with something pleasant for me. For example, I used to like to play video games in English. I used to like to listen to music, and English was always something good in my life, you know? And in 2009, I went to the United States for the first time. I took an exchange course. And when I returned to Brazil, I realized that if I didn't do something related to English in terms of profession, I would forget everything I learned. And it was a pretty expensive exchange program. I saved money for over a year to go to the United States. So I said, no, I cannot allow this to fade, you know, to wear off.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to start working with English. And then I applied for a position in the bank I was working for. And I started attending governments. You know, when they want to bring money to Brazil, I was there to explain them how to. And then after 6 months, I applied for a teaching position at a school here in Brazil. And for my surprise, I was approved. And since then, I discovered a new passion in my life because, you know, English is something very interesting. You learn a new thing every day, as you learn in Portuguese as well. But I like English. I like the way our brain works in English, you know. For me, it's a very advanced language. You can express very complex ideas with just one simple sentence. So I love it. I think like I feel like my logical thinking improves in English. Like I think faster. And when I'm thinking in Portuguese, I think like I have to explain to myself lots of things. So that's why I like English so much. I think I can think faster in English. And that's how I started giving classes. I discovered that it could be a good business as well. And I came to YouTube to teach my students at the beginning. I started my YouTube channel to help my students because I didn't teach English in Portuguese. So I didn't use any Portuguese within the classroom. And some students were very basic and they needed to understand some advanced stuff, but I couldn't teach them in English because they wouldn't understand a word I say, and
Mhm.
I couldn't speak Portuguese inside the classroom. So I started making some videos to teach them about chunks, to teach them about routines, to teach them about strategies to learn faster. And I
Mhm.
started sharing this only with my students. So the purpose of the channel wasn't attracting students or making money or anything like that. But after a while, I started receiving visitors from other places, you know, and then I said, "Oh, maybe this could be a good chance for me to communicate with people who are not my students." And then I
Mhm.
started organizing meetings for us to get together and communicate, not only my students, but everybody who was following the channel. And from these meetings, it formed a kind of ecosystem, you know. So people used to come from to the meetings, and then they used to access the channel. People used to access the channel, and they end up coming to the meetings, and they started being interested in being my students. So I said, maybe this is a good way for you to get to know people, and that's what I did. So that's what I do until nowadays. Nowadays, the channel is a lot bigger, but I still use it to communicate with people and to learn a lot. So I learn how to make videos, I learn how to think in English, I learn how to explain new ideas to the students, I learn new techniques, teaching techniques, and it's all because of YouTube, you know?
That's good. So much of what you said resonates with me. I know we're two different English teachers, and there will always be differences of opinion between one teacher and another on the best way to do one thing or another. But but for instance, you're saying thinking in chunks or dealing with chunks. That's so important because it's like in English, you don't just say a word space. It's a chunk. I mean, and if you don't know how the chunk works, you're not going to understand English, and you're not going to understand native speakers and how they speak. Another thing you said that really caught my attention was that you said you could speak or think quicker in English. And that's so funny because I noticed, you know, a lot of Brazilians say that, oh, Americans speak so fast. And, you know, some do. People from all countries, there are always some who speak faster than others. But part of the problem is English words and English sentences are shorter than Portuguese words and sentences usually. Like the word chocolate is spelled exactly the same in Portuguese and English, but in Portuguese it's chocolate. Oh no, chocolate. And in English it's just chocolate, you know, half. So yeah, I guess it makes sense that you can actually think quicker in English.
That's it. And for people who don't know what chunks are, could you explain it for them?
The way I think of it, and you can correct me if you see it differently, is in a sentence, of course, there's a space between every word if it's written down, but it's not spoken like that. It's like the phrase, what are you doing, has 4 words, but we say more like, what are you doing? It sounds like 2 words. What are you doing? What are you doing? And so if you don't know the chunk, if you don't know how the individual syllables are pronounced, if you don't know how syllables are reduced, if you don't know how they connect or link to each other, then you're not going to understand and you're not going to be understood. So the concept of chunks is very important.
Yeah, that's it. I usually explain it to my students as blocks of information. So understand it as a block of information. If I say the words, the letters R, U, and N, maybe you don't memorize. But if I say run, and then I say RUN, you will memorize it because it makes sense. So it's a block that you put together to make sense. And I use the same sentence as an example. That's interesting. I use, what are you doing? Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
And now there's a song that I use with my students. It starts like, what you doing? Where you at? From Bruno Mars. And he even says, I'm gonna leave the door open. So he's saying, I'm going to leave the door open. And it's very important for the students to understand that he's saying that, and he doesn't need to say, I am going to leave the door.
Exactly. Yeah. I use a song, a country song from like the early 1990s. I think it's called Be My Baby Tonight, but the chorus, the first line of the chorus goes, could you, would you, ain't you gonna, if I asked you, would you wanna? He uses like 7 chunks right there. Could you, would you, ain't you gonna, if I asked you, would you wanna be my baby tonight? And I'm like, no, so if you don't understand reductions and those chunks, forget it.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Well, tell me, outside of English, what are your interests?
Well, besides English, I like psychology. I have a PhD in experimental psychology.
Oh, wow.
I like computer science. I have a master's in complex systems modeling. I'm a geek.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I
No,
forgot to
absolutely
tell
not.
you. Yeah, I forgot to tell you, and when you interviewed me, my hobbies, you know, are, well, playing the drums. I also like traveling and flying airplanes. I got my pilot's license, so that's I tell people being in the air is like no place on earth.
Whoa, I'd
Many
like to
adventures.
do that. Is it difficult?
Uh, it's time consuming. It's kind of like English, but not as time consuming as English. It just step by step, you get there. And if you have a good instructor, you learn what to do, what not to do. And then one day you go for a lesson and he says, I'm leaving the airplane now. You go fly by yourself. And you're thinking, what? Is kind of like the first time you have to speak in a second language by yourself. What you do, you just do it. If you're prepared, you're okay. If you're not prepared, you're not okay. But when it comes to learning a second language, if you make a mistake, that's good. You can learn from your mistake and keep going. You don't want to make too many mistakes in an airplane, though.
Yeah, that makes sense. Did you do it in Brazil?
Uh, no, I've only flown in the U.S. and the Bahamas. The state I lived, Mississippi, you could fly from Mississippi to Alabama to Florida, and then you go to the end of Florida, and pretty soon you're in the Bahamas. And it's a lot of fun. Look down, you can see the clear water. Unfortunately, you can see sharks. So you think, I hope the plane doesn't go into the water.
Yeah, hopefully, and luckily it didn't.
Exactly. Yeah,
So, here in Brazil, it's very pricey to learn how to fly. It's very expensive.
it is, and it's gotten to be very expensive in the U.S. too. Fortunately, my instructor was a good friend of my father, and he actually for graduation present gave me flight lessons. So I only had to buy the gasoline, and then I had to buy the materials to study for the written exam.
That's interesting. I Last month I learned how to sail a boat.
Oh, wow.
It was easy. It was a lot easier than flying an airplane for sure. I think it's not as dangerous as flying an airplane as well. And it's very cheap. Here in Brazil, it's not pricey at all. You pay, and nowadays it's 1,000 reais, which is almost $200, and
Hmm.
it's including the lessons in also jet ski
Oh, wow.
lessons, and
Oh,
it includes the exam as well. So it's very cheap.
oh, that's great. Yeah, I love jet skiing. I used to do jet skiing. I've never done much sailing, but jet ski is a lot of fun.
I love it too. I don't have much talent, you know. I discovered that, but I still like it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I also uh, learned how to skydive. I've only done that one time, but I can check that off my bucket list. It, it was a lot of fun.
And did you
But
do it by yourself or with an instructor together with you?
it was, yeah, a tandem. They call it a tandem jump when you and the instructor are together. Because I was in Las Vegas for a clothing market. I owned a clothing store, so Las Vegas had the largest clothing market in the world at the time, and still does. Uh, and so I only had one morning off. And if you train to go by yourself, the training takes all day. But if you uh, go with an instructor, it only takes 3 hours from beginning to end. And oh, wow, it was so much fun. But they keep asking you the whole way. From They pick you up at your hotel, take you to the airport, take you in the air, but the whole time they're saying something like, "Do you want to quit? You don't have to do this. Do you want to quit? You don't have to do this." I'm like, why are they saying that? And it's kind of a CYA, cover your, like they, and if something happens to you, they want to say, he said he wanted to several times and he signed all of this paperwork that
Oh no,
says
here
if
in
he
Brazil
dies.
it's more like, would you like to do that? Oh yes, I whoa!
uh, yeah,
They
it's
ask you once. After that, you are in the airplane, and if you want to quit, they just jump with you, and you have no option.
oh, that's great. I prefer that method.
I think when I did it once too, and I think if they asked me there up there, like, do you really want to go? Probably I would have quit, but they didn't give me that option. It was like are you sure you would like to go there? And I was like, I I was already there. So,
Oh, that's
but
wonderful.
I think I prefer bungee jumping.
Oh, wow. I've always wanted to bungee jump, but I've never had the opportunity.
Bungee jumping is a lot more interesting because you really feel like you're gonna hit the ground. So the adrenaline level is a lot higher because after you jump with parachute, you you stay in the air for a long time, and this reduces your adrenaline level, and you start feeling like you're flying.
Oh,
um,
wow.
but bungee jumping, you don't have this feeling. You don't hit the comfort zone. The time passes really slowly. Your
Right.
adrenaline level starts skyrocketing, and you just feel like you can explode. And
Wow.
you see the ground coming closer really fast. It's a different kind of emotion. It's a lot stronger than skydiving.
Oh, I imagine. I've never been able to do that, but at the Stratosphere Hotel in Las Vegas, the Stratosphere has one of the tallest towers in the United States, and you can go to the nearly the top floor, and they put you in a harness and attach a cable to your back, and you jump out of off of a platform, and you fall, but it's not a free fall. You're falling about 40 miles per hour, about 65 kilometers per hour uh, to the ground. And, you have time to like imitate Superman and act like you're swimming, conducting an orchestra. It's crazy, but that was so much fun. And you actually land on a target because if you don't land on the target, you may hurt yourself, but the target is very soft. So I did that, and it was incredible.
I'd like to do that someday.
Oh yeah, if you ever get to Las Vegas, just go to the Stratosphere. They'll hook you up, literally.
All right. All right, Dave. So for now, I think it was very nice to meet you, and
Yeah,
I'm
nice to
looking
meet you.
forward to our next videos.
Yeah,
For those who are watching this later, Dave's gonna analyze my English. I'm pretty sure I made lots of mistakes because I'm Brazilian. That's not my first language. And
definitely.
that's it. Thanks a lot, Dave. Thanks a lot. Muito
All right,
obrigado.
thank you too. Yeah, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. So see you in the next video.
All right,
Oh, and for
goodbye.
those who don't know him, I'm gonna link his channel in the description below. He's gonna do the same in his channel, so you can get to know my channel as well. And
Yes,
that's it. I'll see you guys the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
goodbye.
Bye.